All right, everyone, and welcome to a brand new module here about Facebook ads. So far, I've taken you a little bit into the platform, etc., shown you some of the basics. And in this module, you're going to be seeing John for the first time. You're going to be seeing John's face, and in some of the following modules, you'll hear a lot from John's side on a very, very technical level, where John will actually go inside of the ads manager and show you how to set up campaigns step by step, all the different aspects that go into that. But as I said, this is the first time you'll be seeing John physically in a module. So perhaps, John, you just want to give a quick introduction to everyone watching right now.
Hi guys, I'm Gian. I'm based in Los Angeles. Most of my experience comes from Facebook and Instagram advertising. I'm managing almost $1 million a month in ad spend. Most of my clients are in e-commerce and also lead gen. For lead gen specifically, I'm managing over $150,000 a month. And throughout these modules, we'll be showcasing real live ad accounts with the real spends included, just to make sure everything's live and showcasing what the structure is like. In totality, with the accounts that I'm managing, it exceeds over $10 million. And a quick fun fact, I'm not an agency owner, I'm a private media buyer. So there's only one person, and that is me working on these ads. But yeah, perfect. Nice to meet you guys, but thank you for the warm welcome.
Yeah, absolutely good introduction. I hope that builds some rapport between whoever's watching right now and John. As you can hear, John is very technical on the side of things when it comes to just managing ads and campaigns and scaling them to very, very high ad spends. And that's where John really excels in his field. And that's why in a lot of the coming modules, John have recorded some longer form modules that are very technical, where you actually won't be seeing a lot of John's face. You'll just be hearing his voice and looking at the screen while he's breaking down everything you need to do from beginner to expert level, and just setting up everything you need to do when setting up the basics of Facebook campaigns and scaling those Facebook campaigns. As I said in the previous modules prior to this one, I've just given you an introduction to the Facebook Ads Manager platform and show you some of the basic aspects that go into it, because this would have laid out a foundation that is essential for you to have before going into some of John's modules that are a little bit more technical, and that requires that you bring the knowledge that I've given you so far into those modules to fully understand what John is saying. With that said, in today's module, in this current one that you're looking at right now, John and I are going to be breaking down some different cases of businesses that are doing particularly well with Facebook advertising. And by doing this, we'll show you what works well and what doesn't work very well when it comes to successful and profitable social media marketing advertising on Facebook ads in particular. All right, so what we've done is John and I have chosen one case each of successful companies in particular industries. So John will be breaking down a case of a successful e-commerce company. I'll be breaking down a successful case of more of a lead gen / course company. And then at the end, we've taken sort of a more traditional large luxury company that is running more sort of just brand awareness campaigns. So by doing that, we'll break down campaigns of all types and just show you really, give you an overview of what content and what ad copy works well when it comes to creating profitable campaigns. Because for a lot of people, when you're just starting out, you actually have no idea, and you might have a completely different idea of what content works well in ads. And so in this module, we'll just give you some perspective on what works really well. So with all of that said, John is actually going to be presenting the first case to you, which is an Australian e-commerce company. But before we do that, we're just going to jump into the computer and show you how to pull up something called the Facebook ad library, which allows you to sort of spy on or research what other companies are doing. And this could even be your competitors. So not only are we going to take a look at what ads are working well, we're also going to show you how to sort of spy on your competition to really research your industry and field to figure out what kind of ads the others are running. So yeah, without any further ado, let's jump into the computer and have a look at the Facebook ads library. So everyone, right now you're looking at our computer here, and this is the UDI that John is going to be breaking down for you in just a minute. But before he does that, let me just show you how to pull up the Facebook ad library. So as you can see up here in the address field, we're on facebook.com/ads/library. Now, the way you get there is usually just by searching for Facebook ads library. If I can type right here. and then just pulling up the first link right here. This will take you to the home page of the Facebook ad library, and this is where you can search for any business. Okay, now before you do that, you want to select the ad category. Usually in 99.9% of cases, that's going to be all ads, unless you're searching particularly specifically for issues on elections or politics. But for everyone, it's going to be all ads. And then a lot of the time, you also want to select all countries. Okay, so by default, this will be defaulted to the country that you're currently in based on your location. So for us right now, that's Italy. But usually you want to select all to get a broad overview of all the ads that company is running. So we've already pulled up, I thought I already selected this. So we've already pulled up the UDI in a different tab, but just to show you how we did that, you search for the company and then you click it right here, and then it'll actually show you all the ads that company is running. And as you can see, they're currently running 1,200 different ads. So what we're gonna do is close this tab down, go back to the original one that we opened right here, and put it into full screen, and then I'll let John take it away.
Hey guys, I am back. So now we are going to analyze the UDI. The UDI is spending roughly $3 to $5 million a month on Facebook advertisement. It is one of the largest e-commerce stores when it comes to the fashion niche in Australia itself. On the top left, we can see that they're running 1.4 thousand ads. So you can kind of estimate their monthly ad budget by looking how many ads they have. But yeah, in this discussion, we'll cover the mostly the ad copy side, what they're implementing, also the creative aspects, and we're going to analyze where each ad copy resides in, either the top funnel or retargeting campaigns, and the reasoning why, and also the strategic approach that that UDI takes as well. I'd like to preface, for one of the larger accounts that I'm managing, over $600,000 a month, we're averaging around roughly dozens and dozens of creatives on a weekly basis. So when you're managing larger accounts, these are the structures and the ad copy formats that you're going to typically see with larger budgets. So let's hop right into it. So the UDI. They're running for one of the ad copies is buy one, get one free sale on now. Usually for these ads, this is called an offer ad. Offer ads do really, really well for the bottom of funnel and middle funnel, which is typically known for the retargeting campaigns. Retargeting campaigns are customers either who have purchased before for your post-purchase campaigns, or people who have seen your ad or added an item to cart but did not initiate checkout. Running offer ads like a buy one get one free sale now ad will actually increase the conversions, lowering your CPAs and also increasing your return on ad spend. So that is one ad combination that they're using. Also, if you look at the creative side, they're using single images, they're using videos with actually text formatted inside of them. They're using UGCs. UGCs are user-generated content. It's much more native ads. And first, when it comes to the creatives of ads itself, first you have to understand the client's needs, but also the demographic of the customers. For some companies, you definitely don't want to implement UGCs where it's kind of like testimonial or very unprofessional ads. If you're working with a luxury brand, like one of my clients, a luxury home goods niche, you want to use very professional images, very professional videos, as even though it's going to be UGCs, it still has to be very professional because some of those really expensive, luxurious brands have a specific branding and messaging that they want to push to their customers. However, for the UDI, it's a completely different demographic. And we'll kind of give a deeper dive in regards to what demographic, what interest are they targeting and who the customers are. So let's go to the next one.
I just want to add something on to what John just said. First of all, there were a couple of keywords that John mentioned. For example, lowering your CPA. To those of you who are not acquainted with that term yet, your CPA is your cost per acquisition. Okay, so in other words, your cost per purchase. So like John mentioned, for example, in this ad right here, where you do a buy one, get one free sale. So where you create a very sort of pushy sale and a very intriguing offer. By doing that, you can lower your CPA, so your cost per acquisition. And that means you have to spend less of your advertising budget in order to acquire a purchase from a new customer. Also, as John mentioned, we're going to show another case. The third case that we're going to showcase today is more sort of a luxury, famous brand, and they have much more professional and clean looking content. Whereas when you're advertising to a demographic that, for example, the UDI caters to, you want to have more sort of raw and authentic content, which usually can be what John mentioned, UGC. So that's user generated content. So that could actually be a customer who's really liking the UDI, their product, would create a video themselves. And by creating UGC, you have more authentic content that is more likely to catch someone's attention and stop them in their feed when they're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or watching Instagram stories. UGC can be really, really powerful. And a lot of business owners have the notion that you need very, very professional content to run ads. And in a lot of cases, especially with an audience that, for example, the UDI caters to, you actually don't want that professional type of content. You want it to be much more authentic and kind of user generated, so that people don't instantly recognize that it's an advertisement, but instead feel like they're actually watching something valuable and authentic. So with that said, I'll let John continue breaking down some of the UDI's ads in the ad library.
Perfect. Thank you, Sandy, for clarifying. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So as you notice on the top, you can notice the page that it's running by. Sponsored, which means it's an ad. So you can see here the UDI, but this one's different. Keenan Chapman. When it comes to these types of different pages, for larger spend accounts, you're actually going to be split testing or A/B testing, which basically means testing different variations, but almost like similar variables, that you'll see what's the best combination. For this specific company, the UDI, they're A/B or split testing 2 different pages or multiple pages. Right now we can see 2, the UDI, which is their main page, and another page as well, which is Keenan Chapman. And for this specific ad, they're implementing what makes the perfect gift for their copy, which means it's targeting middle funnel and bottom funnel, or people who know your brand or who already purchase your brand. But even like a quick tidbit is, if you look at the main body of this primary text, the primary text is also known as the ad copy. They're also using benefit copy. So they're split testing both the middle funnel and bottom funnel. So fun fact, this ad copy, this specific ad works well for top of funnel and the retargeting campaigns as well.
I'm just going to jump in right here, because by the time you're watching this, you will not have watched the modules in which John really break down what is a top of funnel, a middle of funnel, and a bottom of funnel. Top, middle, and bottom of funnel. So you might not be acquainted with these terms already. So just to kind of reiterate what John just said, there's a difference between the ads that you run in what we call your top of funnel. And so that's usually the ads that you show to a cold audience. So to new potential customers that are not acquainted with your brand or have never seen your ads before. And then there's a difference between the top of funnel and what we run in middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, which is usually ads you show to more warm audiences that are already acquainted with your brand and that you want to retarget in order to actually convert people who are familiar with the brand but who haven't purchased yet, or perhaps people you want to make purchase again. Okay, we call this a warmer audience. So just wanted to really emphasize that.
Thank you, Sander, for the clarification in regards to kind of like being very data analytic and very technical. It kind of shows through in regards to how I communicate the thought process, because these ads for me is very very natural for me and very easy, but I'll try my best to be more easy when it comes to the wordings and all of that. So as we scroll down onto the ads library, let's analyze a bit more ads when it comes to the ad copy specifically. So towards the left, you can see on the left side, this specific ad. From here, take a read at it. We can read it, new Looney Tunes UDIs have landed. So from this ad itself, we can assume that the targeted audience have an interest in Looney Tunes. So since the uni or whoever's running this specific ad, which agency is running this specific ad, knows their customer demographic very, very well in regards to what they like, what shows do they enjoy. And they're actually basing their copy off of their interest and making it very, very personal. These convert really, really well. Throughout the pro modules and the upcoming modules, we're actually going to showcase how to write very specific ad copy that target specific interests to make your ad much more like higher converting. So let's read. Looney Tunes UDIs have arrived. So they're implementing an interest, which is Looney Tunes. They're by assumption, their interest targeting, which we'll cover in later modules, is going to be Looney Tunes or TV shows. As you can see on the main text is going to be the middle part, or like the large portion of your primary text or ad copy. You can see with one of the wordings that they use is Tweety to Bugs. These are the two characters in Looney Tunes. So they're being very, very customer specific when it comes to their interest, which is a really unique take in regards to what types of ad copies that you guys can create on your own ad accounts. So far we covered the bottom of funnel when it comes to offer ads. We covered the dynamic and creation of both top of funnel ads and bottom of funnel ads when it comes to the ad copy itself. And we covered interest-based ad copy when it comes to being very specific in regards to understanding your customer demo or demographic.
One thing that's interesting to note about this particular ad is that they're actually not talking about their product in the first couple of lines. And so for this, it's we can assume that they're not doing completely cold targeting with this ad. Okay, for a lot of these e-commerce companies, it's very usual for them in their top of funnel, so their cold targeting funnel, to target their ads very, very broadly. And sometimes they might not even be targeting people with specific gender, specific interests, or specific age ranges. For a lot of these bigger e-commerce companies, they just target very, very broadly, and then they let the machine learning algorithm optimize their ads and automatically show it to the right people. But with an ad like this, where they're first of all talking about sort of an interest like Looney Tunes, and where they're not talking about their product in the first couple of lines, I think it's quite easy to assume that they're targeting a warmer audience. So this could either be an interest audience, an interest-based audience. So this would be somebody who's interested in Looney Tunes, but it could also actually be retargeting perhaps in your middle of funnel, people who have already engaged with your brand previously, to announce to those people that are already acquainted with your brand that now you've launched a new series, which are the Oodies in collaboration with Looney Tunes. Would you kind of agree on that, John?
Yeah, I would completely agree on that in regards to, since they already are speaking to their demo that they know, which is like people who are interested in Looney Tunes, you can have the assumption that these are almost your top of funnel with interest, with your detailed targeting expansion off, which we'll cover in later modules. But also, since it's very catered to a specific audience, we can assume that it's going to be in the middle of funnel as well. But yeah, to go over to the next ad, this is going to be very, very interesting. So if we look at the middle page, we can read aloud, have you ever experienced a perfect nap? A nap so good you wake up feeling totally relaxed, refreshed, and ready to take on the day. Our weighted blanket is made of these perfect naps. Let me clarify and kind of explain the thought process in regards to this ad copy.
I really like this one.
Yeah, when it comes to the first line, have you experienced a perfect nap? It's basically a combination of a question, an assumption, and also a problem. Even though the problem is not really clearly visible, look at this. Have you experienced a perfect nap? So their demographic is those people who haven't really experienced like a perfect nap. So it's going to be a mixture of assumption, a question, and the next portion, which is going to be your body of the copy. It's going to be a nap so good you wake up feeling totally relaxed, refreshed, and ready to take on a day. This is a combination of a benefit copy, but also the end result of the product itself.
Awakening a feeling in the reader.
Exactly. So that kind of gives a visual in regards to the reader or the customer when they're analyzing this ad or just looking through their ads in regards to the Instagram or Facebook feed. And the last part is our weighted blanket is made for these perfect naps. So it's going to be the solution. So to recap, it's going to be the first part is going to be a combination of a question, an assumption, and a problem. And the body of the text is going to be a combination of the benefit and the end result. And the last part is going to be the solution, which is their product. So it's a very streamlined type of ad copy, which you should implement into your current.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and pull up the full ad and see. So the ad copy is actually a little bit longer. So they state after that, it's like a big hug designed to help you sleep and reduce anxiousness. So this is also, as John said, this is just an extension to the problem solving. And then finally here at the end, we have the CTA. So click the link and check out what discount codes you can claim today. Okay, so a little bit of an offer also implemented in that CTA. Now, one thing I do want to go ahead and elaborate on, which John also touched on, is the fact that here they provide the solution, right? Here they've asked you a question and kind of presented you with a problem or feeling that you really want to have, and then they present you with a solution. Okay, now if they had started out this ad copy by saying, like the first line, if that had been, "Our blankets make for the perfect naps," then this ad would not have performed as well, because they're very, very salesy with their way of explaining their product. So if the ad just simply states, "Our blankets make for the perfect naps," then the reader's gonna be like, oh, that's a blatant advertisement. That's like, these guys just want me to sell their product. But instead, by structuring it that way, we're firstly asking them a question, then presenting a feeling that they really want to have, and then providing your product later on as a solution to this feeling that they want to have. It's less salesy and it's more authentic. And that's why we always want to, at least in a lot of cases, kind of storytell when we write ad copies.
Perfect. That was a really great example and kind of a touch point in regards to ad, like what I was talking about in regards to that, to this ad. And as we expand this ad even more, we can see the call to action, which is also the CTA. The call to action is what you want your reader or audience of an action to do. So in regards to this ad copy and ad specifically, the advertiser wants you to click on this ad and check out the products for the Udi weighted blanket. So just to recap, we covered the first line when it comes to the combination of a problem, when it comes to an assumption and a question. Next, it's going to be a mixture of the end result, but also the benefit as well. And the third one, it's going to be the solution in regards to what the product is. And the last part is going to be your CTA, your call to action. What type of action you want your audience and reader to do. And we'll talk about the ad towards the far right, which is a really funny example. The reasoning why is it kind of takes a completely different approach than the previous ad we covered. In the previous ad, it did not talk about the product or the solution right off the bat. It kind of held off that solution towards the end. As we look at this ad specifically, it kind of follows a similar structure. But if you look closely, the first line is going to be the Udi weighted blanket. So it kind of takes an upside down approach in regards to comparing this ad to the other ad. It's going to talk about the solution right off the bat. The Udi weighted blanket is like a big hug designed to help you sleep and reduce anxiousness, and also talks about the benefit of this specific product. And towards the body of the copy, or the middle part of the copy, it's going to talk about this premium blanket is filled with non-toxic glass beads, has separately sewn pockets, and is machine washable. Talks about the benefits in the middle of the copy. And towards the end, it's going to be a CTA. Click the link and check out what discount codes you can claim today. So like I covered earlier, offers or discounts is really good for the middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel, also known as the retargeting campaigns that we'll cover in later modules.
Absolutely. So yeah, this actually just kind of reversed the script on what we explained with the previous ad, which was firstly asking a question, then trying to awake a feeling, and then providing the solution. In this ad, it's a little bit more salesy, which I don't really prefer this last type of ad that we presented. And I'm willing to almost bet that this one would perform better in terms of return on ad spend and the ROI that it generates. But again, we never know. And that's why it's always so important to split test different creatives, and creatives are the content that we put in the ad, and different ad copies, right? And so as you can see, as we talked about in the beginning, this company, because it's such a big e-commerce company, they're running between 1,200 to 1,400 ads currently. And that's because they're currently split testing different ads to see what works best in terms of copies and creatives. Okay, so again, I can make an assumption based on my experience and all the money that I've spent on ads, but it's different from each demographic, from each company. And so that's why no matter what product you're advertising, you always have to split test different variations.
And to go off what Sanders stated, like right off the bat, it's really difficult to state how much an advertiser looking through the ads library is spending and what's going to be outperforming. For me, I've managed over almost $1 million a month in ad spend. And if you give me 10 photos in regards to and ask me which creatives will perform the best, you don't know until you're actually running on the back end, until you're spending money in real life. You're not going to know the CTRs, unique CTRs, the click-through, the thumb stops percentages, and all this good stuff. And these are the metrics that we'll cover in later modules. When it comes to data and being very specific in regards to looking at the ads library and like looking at what the advertiser is scaling and allocating a greater budget to, we can actually go towards the bottom. The bottom of the ad is going to state the number of ads that they're running with the same creative and text. For this ad, it's running 9 ads. For this one, it's running 3 ads of the same creative and the same text, and 4 ads of the same creative and the same text. With this assumption, with this number, we can assume that these creatives that have a greater amount of ads are being scaled and having a higher budget, which also means that these these creatives and ad copy is performing really, really well. So let's scroll towards the bottom and see what are the next batches of ads that we can analyze.
Coming down here, John, I think it might be interesting to talk about this ad in particular that we are going to highlight right here, because it seems quite unprofessional just looking at it straight off the bat. And the text is not very visually appealing or aesthetically appealing. And so perhaps this might be an interesting ad to round off the Udi case with.
This, to go off what Sandra stated, it is a very interesting ad, because if you look at it right off the bat, if you watch the video, if you click on it, if you just look at it like in face value, it's very unprofessional. There are huge text, there's an emoji on the text, and it doesn't come off as a professional brand. However, I've split tested dozens and even hundreds and thousands of ads, even on a weekly and monthly basis, where I know where the data comes from and how it performs. These are called UGCs, user-generated content. Sometimes it's made by the customer itself, and it's very unprofessional. However, these are very, very natural, and it looks very, it feels very organic when it comes to the reader itself. Because when you're scrolling through your feed, when you're scrolling through your Instagram or Facebook story, you're gonna ignore those ads that look very, very much like advertisements, very professional images. However, if it's a video or a photo that looks similar to what your friends and family post, the conversions and metrics are actually higher. So let's analyze this a bit more.
So I just went ahead and watched the ad, and hopefully you guys did too while John was talking, because we had it without sound, which is not going to be necessary for this type of creative. So as you would have seen, now we've played it 3-4 times at this point on repeat. It's a sped up video created by quite likely customers of the product. So the ad starts off with them unboxing the product from the packaging, tying it out of these ropes, and then putting it on essentially and just feeling very, very cozy in it. And so this is what we call a UGC, a user-generated piece of content. And it can be, as John just stated, very, very efficient in comparison to more professional content that we have right here on the right of this piece of content. So as you can see, they're split testing both types of content. In some cases, now specifically talking about the type of company that you're advertising for or running, professional content is going to work better. But in other cases, and I'm quite willing to assume that, for example, for the Udi, their user-generated content is going to be performing very, very well for them, because they're likely advertising to either a younger demographic or just a demographic who is very, very used to seeing user-generated content and who kind of likes to be stopped in their feed by a piece of authentic content like this. Because it's a funny piece of content. You have a user just dancing around in the product once they've put it on. And so, yeah, it just shows a funny experience, and it makes the viewer kind of relate to that piece of content and that ad, and it makes the company stand out like an authentic company and not just some boring corporation that wants to sell you their product, but that are actually passionate about what they do. So that's really the power of user-generated content. I'm just gonna go ahead and start over the video recording so that we can have our face talking once again. All right, everyone, so we are back. So we just broke down this ad, and essentially we're gonna jump over to the next case in just a couple of seconds. But to round it off, I'm gonna let John say any final words that he may have on this particular piece of user-generated content.
Of course, hopefully that gives some creative insight in regards to what you can implement into your current ad campaigns and future ad accounts that you're going to manage. Hopefully that gives some insight in regards to what creatives are working with larger budgets, so you can kind of be more data centric in regards to split testing what's already working in the market, or if you're in the same industry, what's working in that specific niche or industry itself. You can implement a lot of these types of strategies when it comes to copy, when it comes to the formatting, when it comes to implementing CTAs, when it comes to benefit copy, when it comes to implementing assumptions and questions and formatting as a whole. This also gives some creative insight in regards to UGCs, single images, carousels, when it comes to videos, and all of that good stuff. But hopefully this gives some insight on what you can implement in your current campaigns and future campaigns.
Absolutely. And so just to round off this case before we move on to the next one, there's an important point that we may just want to highlight, and that is at the bottom of most of these ads, at least if you press see details and go into it, you'll see that there's the CTA down here, which is called the shop now. Now in the following modules where John will actually show you how to set up campaigns, we'll also show you how to select the button. So this could be apply now, this could be sign up, but for e-commerce cases, this is always going to be shop now. And so if we actually go ahead and press this, then we'll be taken straight to either a product page or a collections page. So let me just jump back to the ad library that we were talking about, go back to search results. And finally, the last thing I just wanted to say here is this is also an interesting case of targeting a specific audience. So you can see this ad is talking about Harry Potter. And so I can assure you all that with this particular ad, they're targeting people who are interested in Harry Potter. And once again, John will show you how to target specific and particular interests in the coming modules. So with that said, we're going to round off the UDI case. We're going to jump over to the next one, and we're not going to talk about the next one for as long because we've covered a lot of the most vital and essential aspects that we wanted to talk about in these case studies. We just want to show you a little bit of a different case, and that's going to be actually, I have to jump one more time. That's going to be Sam Ovens. Okay, so Sam Ovens is one of the I want to say original or one of the biggest course creators when it comes to online courses in consulting, etc. And Sam Ovens has always had some quite interesting ads and ad copies for his courses. Now, the important aspect to remember when we're talking about this is, in contrast to the UDI, which is probably going to be a product that's priced anywhere between $40 to $150, and depending on whether you're buying a bundle or a single product, it's a rather low priced product. And so the average order value on the UDI's website, I'd assume to be anywhere between $100 to $200. That's the average order value they have. Whereas with a product like Sam Ovens, it's a larger course that will often cost anywhere between, I believe his cheapest course comes in at $2,000, and the most expensive one is around $6,000 to $10,000. And so obviously what Sam Ovens is doing is trying to convey more information with his ads, because you cannot just write a 4-line long ad copy like the UDI can and then assume that someone is going to jump on your website and buy a $5,000 to $10,000 product within seconds, right? That's what fast e-commerce like the UDI is all about. Writing a snappy copy that captures the viewers and readers' attention, having them jump onto your product page, adding that product to cart, and then checking out and completing the purchase immediately. That's what fast e-commerce is about. But when it comes to more expensive products where people need time to consider, it's more about long form copies that I'll show you right now. So if we just go ahead and, for example, pull up this ad right here or the following one, click the ad copy right here and scroll down, what you'll notice is that this is a tremendously long ad copy. Okay, now I'm not going to read this whole ad copy for you. You can pull up the ad library and do that for you. But as you can see in this particular ad copy, he's highlighting problem, okay, so solution, and then problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, and it goes on and on and on. And so this is a really, really long form ad copy. Here's another one, right? In this one, he's talking a little bit more about story. So who is he, right? Hey, it's Sam Ovens here. In fact, I have 0 Lamborghinis, 0 jets, 0 stages spoken on. So he's trying to make a very authentic introduction to himself and really building some rapport between him and the reader. Okay, this is very different from what the UDI is doing, where they're just trying to sell a product quickly. Again, another very, very long form copy. Okay, and so this is quite a good approach when you're selling a more expensive product or a product that's more tied on to you as a course creator. You as the creator are an essential component in actually making someone buying the course. Okay, they need to understand who they are, understand that this is actually a person you would like to learn from, or this is a person that you would be able to watch for hours and hours and explain how different concepts work. And so this is a very interesting case in comparison to the UDI, where you just land on the product page and add a product to cart and then purchase it. If we go ahead and click on one of the ad details here and try to click on the actual ad. Let's see where it takes us. Okay, so this takes us to what we call a landing page. And so here there's going to be a video, and you have to put in your email to watch that video. So I have a mock spam email right here. We're just going to click it and see where it takes us. So let's press this video. And as we'll be able to see, this video is going to be 30 minutes long. Okay, so almost 30 minutes long. Okay, and I'm just going to exit out of full screen right here. And actually, let's go ahead and see what happens if we press let's talk right here. So I assume this is going to take us to a book call page. Exactly. So this takes us to a page, a Calendly page, where we can book in a call with Sam Ovens. Now, or one of his sales assistants, of course. Now, if we're going back to full screen here and back to Sam Ovens' library, I just want to emphasize what we just went through, right? This is called a sales funnel, and it's vastly different from an e-commerce funnel where you just click an ad, come onto a product page and purchase that product. Because it's such an expensive product and because there's much more explanation and storytelling required, you read a long ad copy, click the call to action, you land on a landing page where there's a 30-minute long video explaining what your product is, who you are, and why, who this product appeals to, right? Once you've watched the 30-minute long video, you can click another call to action, which will take you to a page where you're able to book in a call, right? This call could either be with the business owner or with a sales manager for the business. And then on that call, the goal of that call is, of course, to sell you the actual course. Okay, but as you can see, there are many more steps required to take a person from buying a $50 product to taking them to buy a $5,000 or even $50,000 product. And as John will be able to confirm, you have clients whose products are $30,000 and above, and that's a longer sales funnel. That's what we call lead generation. So that's vastly different.
Yeah, to kind of go over what Sander was talking about, one of my clients or the ad accounts that I'm currently managing, the product price is $30,000. This is one of my larger clients. It's in the lead gen space. So I have a lot of room to play with in regards to the CPAs. The CPA for lead gen for that specific product is $2,000. So there's so many things that you can test. When it comes to e-commerce, your CPA should be around 40 to 50% of your AOV, and the specifics and technicalities, which we'll cover in later modules, even though I'm being very, very data driven and very technical right now. But yeah, hopefully that gives some insight in regards to what is possible. And for other products, they're going to be priced really, really high sometimes. But some products like e-commerce are going to be priced fairly low, roughly around $100 to even $300. But there's going to be other products that are going to be way less than that. But yeah, that's one of my clients where the product price is $30,000 in the lead gen space. Exactly.
So again, what John was saying is that with an e-commerce client with an AOV, an average order value of $100 to $200, you are generally going to be aiming for a CPA, so a cost per acquisition, of around 50% or less of that average order value. Whereas with these more expensive products, actually your ROAS, so the return on ad spend, your ROI generated from your campaigns, can be much higher than 2 or 3, but it also requires you to put up more ad spend to acquire one acquisition.
Exactly. And to go off what Sanders stated, when it comes to the ROAS for lead gen, it's going to be drastically much higher than e-commerce. However, you can't really see the actual purchase conversion value, which we'll cover in later modules, on the back end when it comes to the Facebook ads platform. When it comes to consulting or when it comes to lead gen, the ROAS is actually calculated after the sales calls. And on average, the client that I'm currently managing, when it comes to managing $150,000 in lead gen, where the product price is $30,000, I'm actually averaging around 16x ROAS on the back end of the actual product and customer page as well. But yeah.
And that's really interesting. As you'll learn in the following modules, you'll be able to see usually when data is collected, that you've spent $100 on ads and those ads have generated $300 in sales. So that would make an ROI or a ROAS of 3x. And with e-commerce businesses, you're usually able to track that quite accurately. Whereas with lead generation businesses that may have a way higher return on ad spend, you're not going to be able to track all of that in the Facebook Ads Manager. You're only going to be able to see the changes in revenue that goes on in your actual business in the back end on your sales reports. So with that said, John and I are going to jump on to the last case, which we're just briefly going to touch bases on because it's a vastly different company. And so we're just going to go a little bit back and forth with that company. So that company is, we have to jump 2 tabs further. And so that's going to be the Four Seasons Hotel and Resorts. Okay, now firstly, what I want to start off by saying right here is that you can see they're running around 200 ads currently, and that's on a worldwide basis. Now, had we narrowed this down to, for example, Italy only, and sometimes we just have to kind of refresh everything here in order for it to be able to pull that up, then you see they're only running around 23 ads in Italy. And so, this is one of those collaborative ads. Let's just scroll down a little bit. And as you can see, now we've narrowed down to Italy specifically. And so this will be a lot about European summers. I believe there's one on the French Riviera as well. Do you see that anywhere? Route des Vacances, Paris and Spain. So as you can see, all of these are going to be about Europe. Okay, so you can always narrow your research down to country specific. Okay, but let's go back to all and just have a look at some of the different ads that Four Seasons is running. And before we just break down some of their ads, it's important to stress that with the Udi and with Sam Alvin's ads, that these cases that we've broken down for now, they're very ROI centered. Okay, so these are ads that are all about generating profit for their businesses. Whereas with larger corporations and just chains and really big businesses like the Four Seasons, a lot of these advertising efforts are going to be more centered around brand awareness and just generating some bookings on their website, but they're not going to be tracking the ROAS as closely as some of these other businesses are. So yeah, John, perhaps you just want to go ahead and break down some of Four Seasons ads and what strikes out to you in that case.
Of course, there's vast differentiation in regards to the e-commerce when it comes to lead gen and when it comes to this specific product, which is also in the lead gen space as well. With this, they're not going to be optimizing for a purchase. So if you look at the call to action, you're not going to see a add to cart link. You're not going to see a product page or a catalog page. These ads, when it comes to the copy, is going to be like what Sanders stated earlier, more for brand messaging, brand awareness, and content creation. So this is just kind of like pushing out a lot of ads just to showcase their company as a whole and less of the conversion rate itself. However, there's a lot of things that Four Seasons can change and kind of like update their ads on just to make the improvements better when it comes to bookings or whatever conversion that they're optimizing for. I'll give you an example. When it comes to the ad copy, not a lot of readers are very in tune with copy that is very clumped up together. It's very hard to read at a surface level, especially when you're looking through posts on the feed itself. So one advice that I can give for Four Seasons is to actually segment these sentences, or even just segment this entire long sentence or paragraph into like multiple parts, so it's a very easy digestion for the actual audience and readers themselves. As we can notice here, there's going to be these three icons, or like a few icons, or one icon. It really depends on the specific ad. This actually showcases the placements. In the future models, we'll cover what a placement is, the importance of a placement, and how it reflects in regards to your ads. So we can see that this specific ad is placed on Facebook, Instagram, and also Audience Network. Ideally for e-commerce, since it's BTB, it's not e-commerce, you want to use your placements for automatic placements, which we'll cover in later modules. When it comes to manual placements is another type of placement method that we can use for specific ads. But hopefully that gives a rundown in regards to what can be improved with Four Seasons ads in general.
Absolutely. We're going to round off this module shortly, but that was a great addition to Four Seasons and what they're doing. And this is actually quite common to see with these bigger companies who are often a little bit more traditional in their advertising efforts, is that you'll see ads that are quite heavy to digest. And as John said, an ad with such just a long form paragraph without it being segmented will have a very low percentage of the people who see it that actually read it. Okay, so all in all, I think John and I can both agree that this ad is probably not performing very well or very efficiently, or spending their advertising dollars very efficiently, because it's so clear that it's an ad and people automatically are just going to scroll on and skip this because nobody wants to read a text that is not segmented but that looks very heavy just straight off the bat. So with all that said, this was a rather long video. I hope you picked up a lot of good tips and tricks and knowledge and information on what kind of ads work well and what kind of copies work well. And the reason we wanted to put this module in before the following modules is to give you an idea of what a good ad looks like before we actually show you how to create those ads inside of the ads manager. Now, as you know, this is not a content creation course. We don't create videos or images for our clients or businesses. We simply create the campaigns and we get that content from our clients. But it's still very important to know what content works very well, so we can ask our clients for the right type of content so we can actually create profitable campaigns for them. All right, do you want to add anything to round off this module?
Of course. The last tidbit for Four Seasons in particular. We compared 3 different types of clients or businesses from the Udi, Sam Ovens, and Four Seasons. And just to go off what Sandy was talking about earlier, when it comes to comparing Sam Ovens and Four Seasons, Sam Ovens was using a lot of long text. However, Sam Ovens was more optimized ad copy because it had those additional spaces that was much easier to digest for those customers.
Let's just go and pull that up. You can continue speaking.
And for those Four Season ads, they're not using a lot of variations if you look at the total amount of ads running in comparison to the Udi, and it's very hard to read. For Sam Ovens, it's longer form copy, but it's really easy to read with all those spaces and all that clarity. But to my last point to kind of conclude this module is, our main focus is not for content creation or brand awareness. Our main focus is to make sure you are very profitable in terms of service delivery, which I will be helping you on to create the most optimized ads in the entire space as a whole. From my experience with managing over almost $1 million in monthly ad spend and accounts that have a lifetime spend of $10 million. And I'm on the back end when it comes to, there's only one person working on these accounts, and that is me. But thank you very much.
Perfect. That was amazing, John. So yeah, we're going to round off this module now. As stated at the beginning of the module and the modules prior to this module, I've gotten you acquainted with the ads manager, so you know how it looks, you know how to set up the Facebook business suite, etc. I've gotten you familiar and acquainted with some of the keywords that we are going to be using in the following modules. And so having that knowledge and the knowledge you've just gotten from this module about what kind of content and ads work well, you are finally prepared to have John take you inside of the ads manager once again and actually show you how to build up a complete campaign infrastructure, going from the top of funnel that we talked about earlier down to the middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, which are more retargeting centered. And essentially you are now equipped to go ahead and learn how to set up a complete campaign infrastructure. So without any further ado, thanks for watching this module, and we will see you in the next modules, which are more heavy centered towards just looking at the screen and less at our faces. So yeah, that's going to be it for this module, and we'll see you in the next one.